Welcome to Fraud Friday. I'm Bob Coleman. This is an amazing story. We've been covering individual borrowers who have ripped off the program, but this is a story about a lender, specifically a fintech lender, BlueAcorn, who Delaney, the fraud, the greed, the audacity is just overwhelming of what these two individuals are alleged to have done. And this isn't just from the Department of Justice, who handed down these recent indictments for Stephanie Hawkridge, former ABC News anchor at a Phoenix television station, and her husband, who is Nathan Reese. The congressional testimony or a congressional report came out, heavily criticized them as well as other fintech lenders. Delaney, what have you got for us today?
Yes, I've been waiting around for this one since that report came out in 2022, and we have finally got something here at the end of 2024. The BlueAcorn co-founders, as you said, found themselves in a little bit of trouble. They were indicted with 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and 4 counts of wire fraud, and all of these charges carry 20 years maximum penalty.
The numbers are astounding. They are accused of taking over $120 million in fees. Let's move to the slide of fees. Let's go back in terms of a little history. Lenders were incentivized, obviously, for their processing time, for paying their people on getting the PPP loans out as quickly as possible. Remember, our interview with Marco Rubio said, hey, if we didn't have this, we were going to have civil unrest in the streets. We tend to forget the times, but restaurants were closed. Everything was closed. We were all told to stay home, and our relatives were dying. So these were not good times, and we need to keep this in perspective. So Congress and the administration quickly put together this program, and they said, fine, if you're going to do this, we're going to pay the lenders. So Delaney, on $1 million loan, the lender would get what, $30,000, correct?
Correct.
Actually, yeah, for 3% of $1 million. So there is definitely fees. So what these individuals are accused of doing was forming a lender, a fintech lender, and they spent a lot of money of marketing. So tell us at the beginning, what was their strategy of how they were going to make PPP funding available for Main Street?
Well, just to add a little bit of a clarification, technically they were a lender service provider, but
I stand corrected.
They worked with lenders for sure, and they had this program, the VIPPP program, and it seems like that was the lucrative scheme here. So what they were doing is they were going for some bigger loans. They weren't really prioritizing smaller loans, according to the congressional report.
Right.
And they were getting these big numbers. They were helping them with all of their documentation, even though a lot of it was not necessarily correct. They were well aware that some of it contained false information, allegedly, and they were submitting these. And why were they doing that? Because they wanted to get kickbacks from these loans, about 10%.
It wasn't enough for them to take the fee. Now, obviously, if they were a lender service provider, there was an arrangement where they retained a portion of that fee and the lender got a fee as well. But this is from the congressional report. BlueAcorn's founders arranged PPP loans not and for themselves. So the greed said, well, we're going to make our own business loan as well. Some of which have signs of potential fraud. In addition to taking over $120 million in taxpayer-funded PPP processing fees, likely taking that amount of money as personal profit. Let me repeat that, $120 million in personal profit. Mr. Reese and Ms. Hawkridge received nearly $300,000 additionally in loans, some of which were facilitated by their own company. Applications for these loans, some of which BlueAcorn lending partner Capital Plus later demanded to be repaid, including supporting documentation with suspicious statements. I'll let you tell me what the suspicious statement is, Delaney.
Yes, apparently in one application, Mr. Reese here claimed to be an African American and a veteran, to which the congressional report states both of those appear to be false.
What is amazing about this is that they came out with the VIPPP program. As you said, they focus specifically on those larger loans.
Here's a quotation: monster loans that will get everyone paid directly from the owners.
Do we want to talk about how they referred to the smaller loans?
Well, they did not seem to take very kindly or prioritize telling their employees to delete them. Who effing cares? And we're not the first bank to decline PP borrowers who deserve to be funded. They go elsewhere.
Yeah, the arrogance and the scheme of this is amazing. Well, they had tell me about the marketing of this program, and they hired a lot of people in boiler room seem situation. Delaney, what did the back room look like?
Well, they did hire quite a few people, but they didn't really train them. They just pressured them to keep pushing through PPP loans, even if they did not appear to be authentic, even if they appeared to be doctored information. They just wanted to get as much as possible through.
The allegations are that they coached the borrowers to and the
Yes.
employees in this fraud. They knew how to work the system, and they did it without, and they assumed they could get away with it. They got away with it once, and as we've seen as a common theme in these frauds, it started building and building. The congressional testimony report, Delaney, you've read that. How damning is that to their case?
I have to say it does not look very good. I would not.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I would not want to be in there.
That's all you need to say. It does not look very good. I like that. Okay, so let's go back. So, what was the specific crime that they're charged with right now?
So specifically wire fraud, and a lot of that is connected to these PPP loans. There's a lot of like interstate wiring, and that's how they catch them. They were saying in the congressional report there's about $300,000 in PPP loans that they obtained.
Right, and that's going to be a big problem. That's a big problem for them. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. And there were a few other co-conspirators who were involved in those loans, some partners. I'm not really going to get into all of those. So that's a big part of it. And then, of course, they're accusing them of taking these illegal kickbacks.
Well, unfortunately, bad actors, and I guess we can call them bad actors. Well, let's do this. According to Congress and according to the Department of Justice, they call them bad actors. So we'll put that terminology based on those two entities, have caused a huge problem for legitimate lenders and also for the industry, as well as for the Main Street borrower who's running their business, who got the loan, needed the loan, and now perhaps are tainted on that. My concern on this is going forward is there will be another crisis. There will be another problem where we will need to have government intervention to help out our main streets. That's been over the last, go back to World War II on how we need to do that. And that next time when that comes around, that these situations do not impede the flow of funds to help the people who need it the most, which are the American employees, the American workers who rely on their jobs, obviously, to sustain themselves and their family. Anyway, excellent reporting, Delaney. We will definitely be following the story further. And thank you very much for listening to Fraud Friday.
Have a good one.